I just want an answer to the question. Do the protests increase the spread of the virus?
I don't have any scientific evidence that anything. I don't have any scientific evidence that anything. I can tell you that crowds are known, particularly when you don't have a mask, to increase the acquisition and transmission.
Did he really just say that? Did you get that, folks? I don't have any scientific evidence to anything. Now, he followed that up, by the way, by just continuing to say that crowds do increase the odds of infection, but of course, he won't admit that the riots are increasing that. This is the man who is deciding whether you can go back to work or not. This is the man who is deciding whether your children can go back to school or not. This is the man who is deciding whether you can open your business back up or not. This is the man who is dictating whether millions of Americans might have a place to live tomorrow or not. This is the man who is deciding whether you can practice your faith or not without getting arrested. And he doesn't have any scientific evidence to anything. But they seem confident enough with the evidence that they do have and the data that they do have to allow a pastor to be criminally charged for having 16 parishioners in a church that holds 293. But when it comes to thousands of people protesting, he has no scientific evidence to anything. Hold it now. Let's take just a minute here. I'd like to give you a quick lesson, plus take a closer look at what I just said. This is what seating for 293 people looks like. Now, let's randomly fill in 16 seats and see what exactly they found worthy of arresting this guy for. And holy shit, I said, can you pass the collection plate? So you got that, folks? This, but not this. This, I mean, look at them touching elbow to elbow, hands locked, but not this. This, but not this. And before you go telling me about, protesting being protected under the First Amendment, let me remind you that the Constitution grants you the right to peaceably assemble. Peaceably assemble. Peaceably. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say that you can throw bottles while you assemble. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say that you can light police cars on fire while you assemble. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say that you can damage federal property or state property while you assemble. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say that you can stop people in their cars or block their freedom of movement while you assemble. But you know what the Constitution does say? Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the exercise thereof. Shall make no law prohibiting the exercise thereof. One more time. This, but not this. Huh. Okay. Class dismissed. Then why? Why, if you have no scientific evidence to anything, are there more than 16,000 criminals being released onto our streets for fear of it spreading among prisoners? Because this is also a man who, by the by, is dictating that we should be quarantined, right? Well, who is more quarantined than a prisoner in a fucking cage? But no, for fear of it spreading among prisoners, you're going to release them onto the streets while they are simultaneously defunding the police, while you are simultaneously unwilling to admit that the riots are contributing to an uptick in new cases? Does anyone still trust this guy?
You can't trust him as far as you can throw him.
Oh, maybe it was a faux pas, a Fauci pas. Did he just simply mean that he has no scientific evidence to prove that the riots are or aren't responsible for an increase? I don't think he is saying that, because after he says he has no scientific evidence to anything, he does say this.
Crowds are known, particularly when you don't have a mask, to increase the acquisition and transmission.
But we all know that. We've known about that shit since we were fucking kids. Wash your hands after going to the bathroom. You know what I mean? We all know that germs can spread. We all know being in crowds if somebody is sick can cause the spread of a virus to other people who aren't sick, and they can spread it to somebody else, and then they'll tell a friend, and then they'll tell a friend, and she'll tell a friend, and she'll tell a friend, and she'll tell a friend, and so forth and so on, and so forth and so on, god damn it. So therefore, if you are rioting and protesting, it can spread the virus. But he won't say that. He won't say it. He won't admit that. He won't admit it. Why? He's been bought and paid for by the DNC. He's just another fucking bureaucrat scumbag. Plain and simple, folks. All right?
All right.
Plain and simple. And if you're going to say that he's not, and if you're going to say that all he's claiming is that there's no scientific evidence to prove that the protests are responsible for an increase in cases, then there's no scientific evidence to prove that going back to work is going to be responsible for an increase in cases. Then there's no scientific evidence to prove that opening the country back up is going to be responsible for an increase in cases. Then there's no scientific evidence to prove that people worshiping in church is responsible for an increase in cases. Can I get a hallelujah? But there is scientific evidence to show that chloroquine could be very effective, and that evidence comes from Fauci's own organization in a paper published in August of 2005. Almost 15 years to the day, and boom! There it is, folks! Chloroquine is a potent inhibitor of SARS, coronavirus infection, and spread. Now, this paper combined with what many healthcare professionals have been saying for months should be very encouraging news, but it's getting squashed. Healthcare professionals coming out and saying that in independent tests chloroquine has been effective are getting silenced. Complete websites are getting taken down over the spread of this information. And probably all because this man said it was proven effective. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, once again proving that Democrats would rather see this country burn to the ground than ever admit that Donald Trump was right about something. Once again proving that the Democrats hate Trump more than they love this country. Hey, that's just my opinion, man.
So I don't have any bullshit left. I just ran out of it, you see.